the, the disappointing team of the week, and
Is he gonna take the home field? Is he gonna take the home field advantage? You're gonna roast yourself, in the words of Ethan.
Yeah, because the Cowboys were the most disappointing team in week 6 by a long shot. I thought this could be a NFC Championship game preview. It is not. I've already seen. I mean, they've got CeeDee Lamb, one of the best receivers in the game. I think he had maybe one target. I mean, and this has been a common theme with the Cowboys is when it's a big game, you want to get your playmakers the ball. And they just refuse to give it to him. Like, let's go get our fourth string receiver involved. Let's run this Texas Coast offense. And then the defense just decides, oh, let's not stop anybody. Let's go let everybody run wide open downfield. This Cowboys team, you guys are probably right. You know, they're all hat. They're no cattle. And now, you know, similar to what your guys' college teams are, this is kind of where I'm at with the Cowboys is that they're and I have to quote Stephen A. Smith. They're just an accident. Well, the accident already happened, and the dam is broken, and this season is over. And maybe they can tank enough to get Drake May or Caleb Williams.
Well, the problem is this team is good enough they'll give you hope, Dylan, again, 3 weeks from now. And then when they lose to Philadelphia the first time, you'll be back on the roller coaster of emotion with this Cowboys team. And unfortunately, so far, their 3 wins this year have been against 3 absolute dumpster fires.
And you know what? I almost hope they lose to the Chargers next week because I have one heck of a meme coming up.
Hold on. Are you calling for a Kellen Moore revenge game?
Ooh, spicy.
You know, I don't want Kellen Moore to win because I mean, it was the same problems that Dallas had with him last year. Is let's just disregard our playmakers, and let's try to get let's have Zeke snap the ball. And you don't win big games like that by taking the ball out of your playmakers' hands. And to be honest, I knew that that game was over when. And it was all the undisciplined stuff, you know, lining up offsides, having a face mask the first play of the game. And then that fumble that Pollard had where they just got the ball back off a turnover, the defense forced a turnover, and then, you know, they run a stretch play to the outside, and all of a sudden the ball is on the ground. You see the 49ers jumping up and down, pointing it to their ball. And, like, you think, like, you just see a mess. And then they had to touch a 49ers player at some point. Didn't touch it at all. Just terrible luck. I'm like, oh, yeah. And right after that, I think Skip Bayless said that this game is going to be 42-7, and he was pretty close. It was 42-10.
He was.
Oh, not ideal. Bad inning.
Yeah. But we got the top of the order coming up, so.
Leave it to us this is how we're going to lose.
Yep.
Set down what? If we get 1, 2, 3 here, 16 in a row, and you still lose by 1.
That sounds like the Twins in a nutshell.
Yeah. All right, my disappointing team.
That is correct, sir.
I think so.
Yep.
You talked about one half of this already, Grant, but the Commanders. Honestly, just a gutless performance. You would have thought Dan Snyder's still on the team after watching that game. But they were just terrible. Howell, terrible. Defense, terrible. Like, Fields has been easily the worst starting quarterback in the NFL, and you made him look like a top 5 Patrick Mahomes type talent that night. And DJ Moore looked like Justin Jefferson.
You would have thought after that game, sure, the Bears suck. With the way Justin Fields were playing, people were going to say, "Hey, let's get the offensive tackle from Penn State, and then let's get Marvin Harrison Jr. or let's get the defensive end from Florida State." Or the dude from Penn State, where people are like, hey, this Justin Fields kid can play. We got to build around him.
Mm-hmm.
When 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago in Kansas City, he was, I think, 9 of 20 or 9 of 19 and looked lost.
Just awful.
Well, and then, Ron Rivera, like, I think, Dylan, you've mentioned this before. He now looks like he almost thinks Eric Bieniemy is going to take his job. Like, hiring this guy was a huge mistake. I shouldn't have done this because he's going to take over for me.
Yeah. And when Ron Rivera gets fired, it's an easy call, and it's the elephant in the room that Eric Bieniemy is going to be the next head coach of the Commanders. I think 5 weeks
question.
in, it's fair to say that he's going to be a head coach. And if Washington does cut bait, if and when, and it's more of a matter of when than if at this point, Bieniemy is going to get that job. He's going to. And depending on when they fire Ron Rivera, which I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the season, he's going to get a little bit of a trial run, and if they like what they see, they're going to hire him. And, yeah, so.
Well, and Dylan, especially with new ownership,
yeah,
and with the deep pocketbooks that these guys have, and Magic Johnson being part of it, they're not going to stick for this complacent Ron Rivera. Hey, I'm going to live off 2013 to 2015 Carolina run.
He's never had back-to-back winning seasons as a head coach.
Never had back-to-back winning seasons. And the one time he won his division, and with Washington, they were 7-9.
It was the COVID year.
It was the COVID year. They started off awful, and somehow Alex Smith on one leg saved them. Luckily, Dak. Speaking of only having one leg, he had one leg that year. Philadelphia imploded. The Giants haven't been imploding since the boat pitcher in 2016. Someone had to win the division, and Washington won it that year.
Exactly.
But so my turn now, and talking about disappointing coaches, I'm taking a different turn right here. My disappointing team, I'm going to go disappointing head coach, and that would be Bill Belichick. For the second week in a row, Ethan said a gutless performance. These Patriots, they look like they're just walking around, Cabo on 3. 3 points combined in their last 3 games for this offense. Their defense has given up 58 points. Sure, 70. I want to say 72 total with two pick sixes, one against Dallas and one against New Orleans. With Bill being the GM, the lack of skilled players on this offense, you let Jacoby Myers go in the offseason. You signed Juju Smith-Schuster to the same, almost exactly identical contract. Juju Smith-Schuster looks like a totally different person. Maybe A.J. Brown was right when he called him a TikTok boy and Patrick Mahomes saved his career, because he had 3 receptions on Sunday for 6 yards. Mike Gesicki, your all-world tight end you thought you were going to get, 2 catches for 17 yards. I checked. Hunter Henry, 0 catches, 0 yards. You bring back Bill O'Brien with these 2 tight ends, the Patriots can go back to their old ways, 2 tight ends, owning the middle of the field. They look lost out there. And each passing week, Belichick is losing, I think, respect around everyone for how he's going to go down in the history books because of the way this team looks now and his record without Tom Brady as his quarterback. I mean, you saw his face on the sideline against Dallas doing this. Well, it's going to be a long year in New England, and if he doesn't make some changes or spark some energy in this team, the Patriots and him are going to mutually agree to part ways after this year, which I never thought was going to happen. Because they are in a landslide.
They have the worst roster in football.
Worst roster in football, and for him, Bill Belichick, the GM, is going to tarnish Bill Belichick, the head coach, with all the success he's had because of this run these last 3 years.
So Julian Edelman was on the Herd on Monday, and he talked about, because I think defensively they've got some nice players. I think the defensively, like they're okay, but Julian Edelman said it is that, like, and he said it's gone back to his time, is that he needs to bring somebody in on the offensive side of the ball that can help him make those decisions and evaluate talent, because they've taken some guys like N'Keal Harry in the first round, and like Julian was saying, like, this guy is not a first round talent. What are you bringing him in for? Like, he's not good. And but yeah, it's and I think one thing that you give Belichick the benefit of the doubt. I know he's he is his harshest critic, and maybe this will be the offseason where he brings in some offensive coordinator or some front office offensive guru to help bring try to help him evaluate talent to get some guys in place that can help him do what he wants to do in New England.
I think I don't see that happening, and I think he's stubborn the same way Kirk Ferentz is stubborn. They're set in their ways. This is how they want to run their program. This is how they do things. Look at his assistants. When McDaniels left, he needed an offensive coordinator. He hires a special teams coach and a lifelong defensive coordinator to co-run an offense last year. Are you kidding me? And this year he rehires Bill O'Brien, again, a good head coach, a good offensive mind, but he's only bringing in people with New England ties, and they do things the way he wants to. I just think he's so old and so stubborn. He doesn't want to bring in someone new with a different philosophy or a different identity. They're going to kind of question his methods of building and running an organization. I just don't see it happening. When you've had as much success as that guy has, with how stubborn you can be and your ego as big as Bill Belichick's is, I just don't see it happening. I think he might have to lose his job and try to start somewhere new, or just go off into the sunset and never be seen again.
Could be.
Yeah,
Could be, because I don't think he's got.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't think he has a. I don't think he's got a future in television. I don't think he has that personality.
No.
Oh God, no.